Are you wondering what time you should wake your baby up each day? Well, if so, you're not alone. Most parents who do some sort of baby routine or schedule find themselves wondering, what time should my baby get up each day? What's the ideal time? What do I aim for? In this video, we will talk about all of the things to consider when you're making that decision. But first, hello, my name is Valerie. I blog at babywisemom.com. I've been blogging there since the year 2007. I am the mother to 4 children who currently range in age from 11 to 18 years old, and I love helping parents love parenting. So, what time should you get your baby up each morning? Really, when you want to, but of course, it's not all up to you and your wants. Here are some things to consider when deciding what time to aim for to wake up your baby each morning. One thing is that the time that you choose could end up lasting a very long time. So be really thoughtful on the time that you choose. For example, my oldest, we did 7 a.m. and that was his time for a very, very, very long time. Really even into current day where he's just an early morning person. And that's definitely part of his natural disposition, but also just part of how he was trained and what he went through with life. So if you are not a morning person, you might want to avoid early morning if your baby is compliant with that. With that said, you can change the time later with some effort. Some of my girls woke up earlier in their early life and then moved to more of an 8:30 p.m. later in life. Some of my girls woke up earlier, around 7:30 as younger babies, and then moved to around 8:30 a.m. in the morning as older babies. Some babies are more flexible than others, so you may have an easier time with some babies than others to get that time to change. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, you do want to consider your own sleep needs when you're choosing what time your baby will get up each day. It's okay for you to consider your own needs and work around what works for you. That will help you be a better parent. Now, of course, your needs cannot come before your baby's needs and natural disposition. So you may have to adjust. Like if one of you has to adjust, it's going to be you before the baby. But if your baby is more flexible or is good with the time that works best for you, it's absolutely okay for you to choose a time that works best with your natural sleep needs and sleep disposition. And of course, you need to work around your baby's natural sleep disposition. Some will be early morning risers. Some will be okay with sleeping in a little bit. So you need to figure out what your baby's needs are and work with that. You also need to consider your own daily schedule constraints. Do you have to work? If so, then what time you wake your baby up will obviously be greatly impacted by what time you need to be to work or start working each day. You have older children who are in school or who have early morning activities or activities in the morning that you have to work baby's wake up time so that the first nap lines up with what you're doing later in the day. You might have school drop-offs, you may have dance classes, gymnastics classes, and your own work. There's just lots of things that can impact the day, and also, you have to look down the line of the day. It's not just what's happening in the morning, but what's happening later, because what time you start will affect what time the first nap starts, what time that first nap ends, what time the second nap starts, etc. Also want to make sure you can fit in all of the daily feedings that you need with your start time as compared to what time bedtime will be. So you need to make sure your baby can get enough feedings in the day, or you will find your baby waking up at night to eat. And you also want to take bedtime into consideration. What time do you need bedtime to be? What time do you want bedtime to be? Typically, bedtime will start about 12 hours after your morning wake-up time. So if you can't have bedtime before 7 p.m., don't start the day before 7 a.m. It's also good to note and remember that you can start the day at any point on the clock. It doesn't have to be 7 a.m. It can be 7:03 a.m. It can be 7:17 a.m. It can be any point on that clock, so don't think it's just on the hour or on the quarter hour or half hour. You can do what works best for you. Last but not least, you need to pick a time that you can be consistent with. This is something that is important in all facets of parenting, especially if you want a routine or schedule that will be predictable. You can't have a predictable, consistent schedule without you being consistent with it. So pick a morning wake-up time you can be consistent with, and do be consistent with it. As you initially start that morning wake-up time, you'll even need to be consistent on the weekend or on days off or days you don't have anything going on. Once you get that routine down, you can start to have some days that you sleep in if your baby will, but it can't be something where initially you are going off schedule consistently, frequently. You need to be consistent with the schedule before you can be flexible with the schedule. All right, that wraps up what time you should wake your baby up each morning. If you have any questions, please do leave a comment. I will answer you. And thanks for watching, and have a great day.